Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Superbly Said podcast, episode 5. We have Jordan back here today, so let's get started. The first phrase is to hit a glass ceiling. To reach an upper limit in a career where advancement is no longer possible. And an example is, despite her hard work, she felt she had hit a glass ceiling at her company. Usually the reason is due to something that's unspoken, usually due to systemic problems with discrimination. And it happens, I think the first reference is for women. Women were not able to reach the upper echelons of a company, leadership roles, or in government. So the question is, have you ever felt like you hit a glass ceiling in your career? How did you handle that situation?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess I can't think of too many right now because my career hasn't been that, I guess, developed. Um, but I did hit like a sort of ceiling when I would be working at certain jobs where there was like no more areas of improvement. And I just felt like I was stuck for a bit. And it was kind of like a repetitive thing.
How quickly did you realize that? And how long were you working at said company before you started to think, oh, I'm not really progressing further up?
I think I was there for only 3 months. So they hired people to be there for like it was like a temporary position. And then when it came to like the time when they were to renew people's contracts, they decided to keep me on. But then I already realized like when they were doing that it wasn't the job for me. It was too like repetitive and like there was nothing to improve on. It was just the same thing every day. So yeah, I guess that was like a glass ceiling for me. It's like going nowhere, just kind of doing the same thing, kind of like stuck in a limbo.
And you thought that, did you think that this would repeat itself because it applied to you, or also because it applied to your colleagues?
So I guess I guess it applied to my colleagues as well. Like I guess watching them and seeing kind of where they were with their careers in that in that company, because some of the people would have, I guess I saw they were there for like years, like 20 years almost, and then they were just doing the same thing every day. And I saw myself like in their shoes. So I was like, no, this isn't it for me. I kind of want more purpose with the job. I want to feel a sense of, sense of purpose.
So what did you do about that situation?
So when they told me that they were going to keep me on, I guess I stayed for another 2 weeks or something. I didn't stay too long after that. I also was like not feeling it. So I just quit. And I'm like, peace out. I'm gone.
Were you hoping for a promotion? Do you think if they had promoted you to a leadership role, you would have stayed?
I'm not too sure. I think maybe for a little longer, but um no, actually I wouldn't have, because I was talking to a colleague when I was working there, and then I was asking them like how do they feel about being in their position. They said, I don't make that much more than you. I only make like $2 more or something. And they have to do like so much more work, and they have to work Saturdays. So after seeing that, I was just like, no, I have to leave because yeah, it's just not it, I guess.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, do you think the glass ceiling is well, I'm not sure, but do you think the glass ceiling is also self-imposed? Is there such a thing?
Yeah, I think totally. Yeah, that could definitely happen. I know I do that a lot sometimes, like when I um kind of underestimate what I'm capable of, and then I kind of put a glass ceiling on myself, and then just kind of it's like when you how do I say this? Like uh when you don't have as much faith in yourself and what you're capable of, and you kind of put a box around what you can and can't do. Yeah. Do you have that? Have you ever felt something like that?
Yeah, I feel that it's quite natural for me. I'm reminded of what my dad did for us when we were in Australia for a few years, I think. Or after having moved, I was probably like 10 or 11, and Dad showed us a video from a successful entrepreneur in America. She was Korean, and she was speaking English, I think, in this little documentary. I should look it up again. I forget who she was and what kind of business she ran, but she was saying, "He can do, she can do. Why not me?" That was her like motto. And Dad was like, "You have to say that. You have to say that. That you should repeat these guys." And we were just like, "This is lame. This is so lame." But actually, that I think that was instilled in us in a very well, I guess not so subtle way, but it did leave an impression upon us. In retrospect, when we look at what my brother and my sister and myself, the way that we lived so far, we never really cared about the glass ceiling. Like um, we, I think the glass ceiling exists for sure. Because you see people in positions um, of leadership, but sometimes they take on a certain uh, form, like they have a pattern. They're either all white males or they're all from a certain place or background. Uh, but yeah, it's so there is something that's happening that's making that kind of profile be the one selected for that top position, or those top positions. Um, but it's also something that changes, and like maybe those positions were not always filled with those faces in the past. And for me, I don't really look into that much. Um, in terms of whether I will make it into higher roles. It never really bothered me that much. Like the politics of it, I never really cared about going up or getting promoted. I never stayed, but I asked about self-imposed glass ceiling because I never really um cared. I never stayed in a role long enough to 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 for it to become a concern for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, after 6 months, you said you stayed in this for a few months. I mean, you were only working for 3 months before you had this realization. Yeah, it's similar for me. I mean, 3 months in or 6 months in, 9 months in, I'm kind of already on the move, on the thought. I'm already thinking where to go next.
Yeah.
It's really strange. It's really strange, and now I'm certainly yeah, pretty committed to staying for the long haul, and try to go up in terms of stages um as well, but yeah, I don't really see it as a glass ceiling thing. And I think a lot of it really came from from what my dad had said, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
Mm.
so I've got to be very grateful for that. But I did see areas where this kind of thing was happening. Um, in the seminary that I went to, we would get up at 6:15 in the morning for morning prayer, right? Well, I mean, you'd have to wake up a bit earlier. I used to be the one that like would run. I lived pretty much the furthest away from the chapel, and I would run there like at 6:10 to get there by 6:15. That's horrible.
Oh,
I was always like the last one. And in any case, what happens is at the mass there are servers, right? And everybody is on duty to serve. But on Sundays, they only get the best looking guys to serve. And the best looking guys are always considered like the blue eyed blonde head guys with like strong jaws, like
oh,
conventional. Yeah, they're the guys that would serve on Sundays when we had guests and stuff. Some of the guests will be donors and so on, right?
like serve communion or just
Oh, they'll
like,
be serving at the altar, like I don't know, kneeling near the priest and passing,
oh,
yeah, setting up the altar, moving about. That's altar servers.
oh, okay,
Holding the
okay.
bishop's crozier. Yeah, yeah, it was really funny. Like we called it the A team. Oh, that's the A team.
Oh,
Yeah, but there was a glass ceiling because you had to be chosen. You see.
yeah.
At the same time, many people respected those guys. But it is a duty that they had to actually fulfill by like combing their hair and all that. But it was still a little bit weird.
Yeah. I guess that's like, would you say it put a glass ceiling for people who would be deemed like less attractive then because they never get picked to be altar servers?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think so. That's one of the
Oh,
problems. Yeah, yeah,
wow.
yeah. So
That's
I
quite
think that's
interesting.
that. I mean, those kind of things leave a bad taste in one's mouth, and it uh it affects like that undermines the integrity of the whole institution. That tiny thing, you know, that those kind of decisions were allowed to be made, in terms of uh I mean, it really portrays the fundamental character of that institution, which is to serve its own sustainability through appeal to superficial things to attract donations from the benefactors. That basically became the principal thing. Like the Sunday worship, the pinnacle of the week, ended up becoming some kind of it's about to something superficial at the end of the day. It's horrible.
That's really interesting. Something similar happened to me recently with that superficial like glass ceiling, I guess. Um, so with teaching, there was like a position that I got, but the thing was, there was this comment that was made because they mentioned like, so I'm Vietnamese and I look Vietnamese, so um, as an English teacher, what they preferred for, I guess, because um they said something about the students will be surprised when they pay for a native English teacher and then they see me and I'm not Caucasian, they might get surprised. So they told me to emphasize that I'm a Canadian speaker with the students. Um, so I'm like, damn. So now, like, I have to, I guess, disguise where I'm from, like my identity, like who I am, because it might come across weird to, like, I guess, customers or other people. But yeah, it's sort of like, yeah, it like, I guess it would be considered like a sort of politics with work that you don't really know about unless you're in that situation. Like same with you and with the church when you were there.
I mentioned this in our previous podcast episode, but it's to do with the fact that my name is John. That my name itself is a testament to that in a way. Like I'm trying to suck up to those who would be confused or I don't know, who would look down upon my Korean name.
Yeah. Have you used John your whole life? Like, was it always John?
I was named John by this process of elimination. My mom said David or John, and my brother said David. And this was when I was 7 years old.
Oh. And then you stuck with it ever since.
Yeah. To the point that it was changed on my passport, I think when I was 16.
Oh. Yeah, I've always had my name because like I never had an English name, so it was always like my name, and then
Yes, that's good. That's cool.
yeah, but like when I was younger, I really hated it. Like I never wanted to tell people my name because um I was kind of embarrassed. Yeah, but it was also like being in Canada, everyone has like an English name, and then I had yeah, and then yeah, I never wanted to say it because people always had such a hard time pronouncing it. So then it would lead to like sort of, I felt like I was being mocked and stuff. So I never really liked saying it. But growing up, it was like, I kind of accepted it more and I kind of liked my name. So I used it more often. But still with looking for jobs and stuff, I feel like there's a sort of prejudice already when I apply to places at times because the first thing they see is my name, and then yeah, I feel like it affects the application a bit, you know.
So yeah, how do we change that? How do we change that? Well, also, because a part of me says, well, I mean, for the purpose of being accepted, why not just be practical about it? Like can't just rock up wearing whatever you want just because that's your style. Sometimes you have to adapt a little bit to what's expected. There's a dress code. So there is that element to it. I have to give some thought to that, but at the same time, like the name is such a core part of who you are, and maybe even that applies to dress code too. Like, why is there a dress code? Well, why is there a dress code? Maybe things will change in the future.
Yeah, like with the dress code, I know a lot of places too, they have problems with tattoos and people with like piercings. So and that's like it's like a permanent part of their body too. So it's like I guess if you consider to have piercings, it sets that ceiling or that kind of what is it, barrier between you and like certain positions that wouldn't allow you to work otherwise if you had tattoos or if you don't have tattoos kind of thing.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate that we have to be of a certain we have to try what to be of a certain background to gain the respect of others.
Yeah, it's very interesting because like it wouldn't even matter at that point, like if that person was highly qualified and they had all these degrees and stuff, if they looked a certain way, it could affect their application too.
Yeah. And I mean, it's also the case with accents, like people with a certain accent want to improve the way that they sound by adopting the local accent.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, as long as one is understood, but I guess I mean, I've met people from Scotland who were quite difficult to understand. It took some
Uh,
time.
yeah,
But yeah, but it would be strange for anyone to change or adapt that accent. You know?
right. Well, yeah, I don't. I think I've met one Scottish person, and then yeah, their accent was thick.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um. Yeah.
it's a weird one in society. Like, how much should the individual who is kind of the outlier or somebody who is not in the mold as the same mold as the others, how much should they adapt so that they can accommodate to those to the majority, and how much should the majority accept those who are outside or different from them? There's kind of a give and take, I guess, because not everyone. I mean, we it's a balancing act.
Right.
There are standards
Yeah.
that are imposed, though, like in terms of disabled access to buildings. Like every building, like by regulation, every building has to have a ramp or easy way for those in wheelchairs to access the building. And that takes effort and money, right? So I feel there needs to be something that should be done to help people from a young age to accept others that are different. I mean, I remember my friends when they were having a kid, they were thinking about the name that they would give to their child, and they were like, "Oh, okay, that doesn't sound that they'll get teased for that. Oh no, that doesn't sound good because that sounds like this." These are
Mm,
practical concerns. They were thinking about practical concerns. Um,
yeah.
Beyond heritage or meaning. It was primarily, well, what does it sound like, and will they get teased by the other kids for having that name?
Mm. Well, it starts like even before you're born too. It's like
Yeah.
the
So that's a reality. It's a reality that exists now, but maybe it shouldn't. It will change in the future. Like maybe there should be like a curriculum input, like for a kindergarten. Hey, look at all these different names, and maybe it's already happening in different parts of the world, like in the US, I suppose.
maybe like a inclusivity class or something.
Yeah, I mean, just right from the outset, hey, look, or even just, I guess it's something that may kind of happen by itself, because I know Koreans, and maybe others as well, they're not adopting English names anymore for the most part as they move abroad.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but I was seeing more uh like ethnic names um when I work, and I guess in Canada too. There's a very big immigrant population, but a lot of the people I know and I grew up with, there's a lot of immigrants, and a lot of them chose to keep their names.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it's like yeah, I guess there's like a slow shift there.
Yeah, maybe 500 years.
Yeah, right.
Maybe we'll have
Uh,
different names by then anyway.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's such an important part of who we are, our names, for one reason or another.
yeah. It's like kind of like the core being of who you are. Like where even before you were born, it was already decided, and that's like if you're what before or after you're born. Um, yeah,
Have you heard of the basketball player Kobe Bryant? He changed
yeah.
his name to Mamba. He changed his internal name to Mamba to the so that when people would say, "Oh, Kobe, you're a cheater. Oh, Kobe, you're an immoral human being," because he cheated on his wife, he changed his name to Mamba so that those like the jeering from the crowd and those at the stadiums and in the media would not get to him. And that's how he was able to perform at his best, or probably even better, through the creation of a new character.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah, she went. Well, actually, I gotta go. I gotta look back into like the details of this. But yeah, he had created a new name, and he had he had kept it secret for 2 years. I mean, he was advised to do this by a coach, uh, like a life coach or like a performance coach. I can't remember who it was, but it was creation of an identity that only he knew about. And so, yeah, he was still performing at his best, and he only revealed it like 2 years in that actually I'm not Kobe anymore. I'm Mamba.
Wow, I didn't know that. I thought it was like it had to do with his mentality or something, like a snake, like a snake or something. I don't know. I thought Mamba was like the name of a snake, like a very powerful snake. So I don't know where I got that. That's what I just thought it was.
Oh, really?
But I, yeah, but that would be a really good way to kind of like if you didn't like the identity that you had or something, or if it caused you trouble or pain or something, and to change your identity and to adopt a completely new one. Um, yeah, I feel like that could be effective.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah.
called himself Black Mamba, not just Mamba. But I guess yeah, I'm just looking up. I didn't realize that Mamba is a name of a venomous snake species found in Africa.
Uh,
Yeah, but he said, according to Google, the LA Lakers legend gave himself the nickname after watching an assassin with the same name in Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill.
oh, interesting. Real.
Wow. There you go. There you go. So yeah, I think maybe, I mean, it kind of makes sense. Like this ritual, like we are, like the name is part of our daily ritual about who we are. And it's helpful. It's helpful, like for performance. Like I heard that Formula One drivers or race car drivers, they have a ritual when they get into the car. Like they always put it's personal, of course, but for example, in the case of this race car driver, she was the only female driver in the Formula Three, like
Yeah.
in still very very competitive racing, and she was going through her routine. She's like, okay, so I have to have my left glove on first, and then my right glove on, and like this kind of routine, this ritual, puts her in a better psychological state to perform best. And maybe there's a ritual that we can do as well to help us perform. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
succumbing to the like the power of the performance culture, but I would say it could be a strategy.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like if you have a sort of routine in place, you perform well, like in any aspect. Because I think if you have like even something as simple as waking up and washing your face and brushing your teeth, it kind of sets you up for the day. So I guess the thing you're talking about with like a routine and um like having an identity and name or like a new one, yeah, would definitely contribute to performance. Um, and
Yeah,
yeah,
I had a funny idea. Like, what if instead of renaming yourself for the rest of your life, like Mamba, Black Mamba,
yeah.
what if you would give yourself a new appellation each morning? It's like, okay, today I'm gonna be Bill. Today I'm gonna be
So actually, like I've heard people do that. Like before they do anything, they have a person they want to channel. So like if you're going into an interview and you want to do well, instead of channeling, or like let's say you're anxious or something and you don't want to be who you are in that moment, then you think of like a person that you want to channel, like Meryl Streep from The Devil Wears Prada, and then you kind of act like her for that moment. And then I guess if you change yourself and become her, and then that helps you as well. I think Marilyn Monroe did that too.
Really?
Yeah, I think there's like clips, not clips, but there's like these things I found online where it was talking about how people would not recognize her in public because she didn't turn on her character. And then when she was with her friend one day, she was like, do you want to see them? Do you want to see something cool? Do you want me to become her? And then she's like, okay, sure. And then Marilyn Monroe like kind of switched on her character, and then she became the Marilyn Monroe, and then she kind of like turned people's heads and stuff. But yeah, I guess just channeling a different identity too could, like, I guess, change things.
Did Marilyn Monroe embody a particular historical real life person, someone else, or was it someone that she made up?
I think it was more like someone that she made up. I'm not, like, to my knowledge, I don't think it was somebody that she knew, but yeah, it was like a character that she developed herself.
Yeah. Maybe it was also based on someone she knew and then developed upon that character.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I'm thinking of Black Mamba. Like, I didn't realize that it was also based on somebody that a character from Quentin Tarantino's movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder, yeah. I feel like,
Interesting.
do you have a character that you,
Oh yeah. Well, Maverick is one. Maverick is the first time I've heard of the Maverick was from this joke from a comedy festival in Melbourne. Like, that's really popular in Australia and it's televised. And there was a joke where this comedian was saying, when I was a kid, we used to play soccer and football, whatever, and they would choose people by name for those that were going to be in the team. Like, the two best players would choose the rest of those that would be part of their teams in an alternating manner, where they would choose the next best person and field the team that way, so that the last to get picked would be the worst player, and everybody would know it. But the comedian was like, "Oh, I'm a Maverick. I'm gonna choose the worst player first." Okay. And yeah, that joke was so funny for me. I don't know why, but I've watched it so many times, that skit. And since then, I was always thinking about, well, no, I wasn't thinking about being Maverick after that. It just came up later on in my life. I don't know when, but I thought about being Maverick as a big part of who I wanted to be, like someone different. I didn't want to do what was conventional. So that is who I am, and this is what I kind of think about when I do things.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought the Maverick was a reference to like Top Gun.
Oh.
So like when I saw the Jordan and the Maverick, I was like, is that like a Top Gun reference? Because that's what I thought it was, but interesting. I didn't know it was like from a comedy skit.
Yeah, I think also naming oneself each day could also play a part in doing something new, like not being a prisoner of one's past, to break from one's past and to do something that's totally new, and to be able to go into that new space without respecting sunk cost. There could be something there.
Yeah, I think so too. Because after being back in Canada, like I didn't really want to come back, but it's like kind of a reminder of what I left behind, and like I kind of being in Korea for a while, and coming back, it's like I'm a different person. So being back home, it doesn't feel quite the same anymore. Um, but yeah, I think maybe it's like a different personality, and then having a new name and kind of changing that past self would be something people do.
Yeah, you've taken on a new character, so to speak. Um, and it's the same with languages. I've heard that when you adopt a new language, you do take on a new personality.
Yeah, because then you start developing like a different humor and like mannerisms, I guess.
Well, speaking of languages, I have to actually teach English now. So we're gonna call it a day. Yeah. So thank you again, Jordan, for this very insightful, interesting conversation. And let's do it again soon. So catch you soon.
Okay, see you soon. Bye bye.